Hey everyone, Christina Simmons from Say Yes to Holiness today. And I wanted to share with you, as you can tell, I'm not in my usual recording space. And partially it's because in continuation with my last video, my mom had another stroke. She was in the hospital and I was in a hotel room nearby. Well, we're back to my house, but she's now in my normal recording space, my study, and she's staying with us for a couple of weeks. And I'm out in our family sunroom. And so I apologize if there's an echo, but I wanted to share with you, in the midst of this experience, 5 ways that you can be discerning and knowing that you're doing God's will for you in that moment. And there's 5 things I want to share with you. The first thing that we can be doing, the first sign that we know that we're doing God's will for us, is that we're following the commandments and the teachings of the church. And of course, honor your father and mother is one of the commandments. So in that way, I know that I'm being obedient to what it is that God has asked me to do, but also the teachings of the church, which is the fact that we are to care for those who are unable to care for themselves. And although my mom is physically okay, she's struggling with aphasia, for those of you who are familiar with strokes, and with forming words and with being able to communicate, well. So I've kind of stepped in order to help with that. So that's the first sign. Following the commandments and the teachings of the church. What's the second sign? Spending time in prayer and frequenting the sacraments. As I shared last week, one of the biggest things for me has been continuing my daily prayer routine. It's helped me be able to get the focus that I need in order to have clarity about my day, about what's most important. But even more than that is that God is able to fill me with His peace, with His wisdom, with His clarity about what it is that I should be doing each day. Because I'm juggling, just as many of us do. I know I'm not the only one in this situation of where there's a crisis in the family and we have to juggle our normal responsibilities of immediate family and extended family, and then also our work responsibilities. For me, it's not quite as intense because it's my ministry with you all. But the fact is that it's still a juggling act, and we can get so caught up in the trees that we forget the big picture. And the big picture is given to us, of course, in the commandments and also in the teachings of the church. And so when we build upon that, when we spend time in prayer, then we're opening ourselves up to God giving His graces. And that's where frequenting the sacraments comes in. So although it's been difficult, I've made it a priority to make sure that I've gotten to Mass several times outside of just on the weekend in order to be filled with God's grace this week. It's something that I know has helped me, being able to receive Him, the Most Holy Eucharist, and has given me the grace to be able to care for my mom in the midst of this situation. So that's the third sign, is that in the midst of whatever challenge is going on, that you're experiencing the fruits of the Holy Spirit. And I most definitely am experiencing those. I'm experiencing more patience. I'm experiencing His peace. I'm experiencing joy, even though it is a challenge. It's not something that I like for my mom. I don't like for myself, in the sense of my schedule is kind of disrupted, and I'm somebody who tends to have a schedule. But it's definitely not something that I would choose, and I definitely can't change it. And I don't understand it. My mom is very young. She's only 74, and yet this is the 3rd stroke that she's had. But in the midst of all of this, I'm experiencing the fruits of the Holy Spirit, and that's the 3rd sign that you can look for, that you are doing what God's asking of you. The 4th is using your gifts and talents. I am very good at organizing. My mom always was, she was getting ready to move into a brand new continuous care community, which is just over an hour from us. It's a very short drive. And so she had already sold her house. She was staying with friends when this other stroke had happened. And we were moving towards that. But there, as all of you know, anyone who's moved, you know all the little details that have to be attended to. So I've been helping her make those phone calls, changing, different, her addresses for everything. She's trying to consolidate things into one, account for her finances to make it easier, making it all automated. So I've been helping her with all of that. And that really is one of my gifts and talents, but it also is one of my motivations, and my top motivation is to serve. I might have shared with some of you before that my fundamental motivations, core motivations are, to serve while I explore and meet a challenge. Well, you definitely have to meet a challenge in the midst of this crisis, and I'm serving my mom, but then also I'm having to explore because I'm having to track down all the different places, all the numbers, all the emails of all the different places we have to contact. So it really has been right in the middle of what my core motivations are, but it really has been a place where I've been using my gifts and talents. And finally, others affirm your calling. In the midst of this, my husband, Paul, has been great, and I've told him numerous times, thank you so much for your support, and he tells me, he's like, no, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're taking care of your mom. And even most precious is my mom and her gratitude, where she just said numerous times, like we're on the phone with, a company, and she'll be like, and I'll be helping talk, and they'll say, do we have your permission, to talk to your daughter? And she'll be like, yeah, I couldn't do this without her. And, so, I mean, it brings great joy to my heart. But the fact is that that's affirmation that you're doing what it is that God's asking you to do in the moment. So what are those 5 things again? It's you're following the commandments and teachings of the church. You're spending time in prayer and frequenting the sacraments. You're experiencing the fruits of the Holy Spirit in the midst of the difficulties. You're using your gifts and talents, and others are affirming your calling. So I hope that those 5 ways are going to help you in the midst of your daily life. And if you want to learn more about how to discover your purpose in life and learn more about these different types of ways that you're able to discern your purpose and know that you're doing God's will in your life, then make sure to join me for the upcoming Discover Your Purpose Masterclass, which is going to be the week of October 12th. So it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at noon Central Time each day. We're going to be live, but there'll be replay available. In order to participate, you can either join the private Facebook group, Say Yes to Holiness Today. You can just do a Facebook search and Say Yes to Holiness Today and ask to join the group. Or you can simply text Say Yes to Holiness to 66866. And what that does is that it'll prompt you for your email, and then you'll be on my email list. And then I'll be sending you the links for Zoom, the Zoom link, so you can participate in the conference live that way. And also I'll be sending the replays. So if you want to participate in both ways, please do. But again, to join the email list, text Say Yes to Holiness, all one word, to 66866, or look for the private Say Yes to Holiness Today Facebook group for that Discovering Your Purpose Masterclass that's coming up on October 12th. Thanks again for your time, and I hope that these 5 things that I have shared with you, these 5 signs that you're doing God's will in your life, can help you today, especially on your journey towards holiness. God bless.